Today, the Nebraska Secretary of State certified 2 abortion-related petitions. Both of them will now be on the November ballot. They include Protect the Right to Abortion, which would provide the right to abortion until fetal viability, and the Protect Women and Children petition. It looks to protect unborn children from abortion in the 2nd and 3rd trimesters. Exceptions would include for sexual assault or a medical emergency. According to the Secretary of State's office, Nebraska has never had 2 conflicting petition efforts make it on the same ballot. The official petition results also show how narrow the issue is in the state. The Protect Women and Children submitted 222 more signatures. In order to pass, ballot measures must have 35% approval. If they both reach that threshold, the measure with the most 4 votes will become state law.